Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Look, Wrestling 101, classes in session. Pay attention to the teachings, that's from Andrew and Derek. I mean, these guys making a killing with no competition. Dynamic duo better than the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. Everybody make some noise, mess with them, you get destroyed. They cannot be beat, take a seat. Watch them do they thing on the MIC. Face defeat, they cannot be seen like JC. Oh my goodness, it's a killing spree.
The Outlaw, Luke Curtis, and you're listening to Wrestling IQ 101. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew from Wrestling IQ 101. When I'm not hosting our podcast, I'm usually at collarandelbowbrand.com. That's right, Collar and Elbow is the only place that combines wrestling with street attire. And I know what you're thinking, I want to look fashionable too, and I also want to save 10%. So head over to collarandelbowbrand.com and use the promo code WIQ101 and look fashionable and save some money. And now, on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. I'm Andrew, and you can listen to Wrestling IQ 101 right here on YouTube. You can hit that subscribe button, you can check back on old episodes, you can check this episode, and even check out future episodes. And also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. And today I'm sitting with Luigi Primo. How's it going, man?
I'm Luigi Primo.
So Luigi Primo, how's it going, man? I'm sure you're doing really well.
Yes, I'm doing good. I just got it done making about 100 pizzas for the lunch and our early dinner rush. I'm taking some time off to talk to you two a day, but I'm doing well. I'm having a good time making some good pizza. Going to train in the wrestling gym a little later, just living the life of a good pizza chef or wrestler.
Yeah, so Luigi, I mean, you've been making quite a name for yourself. You've been winning championships at RCW. How does that feel?
It feels pretty good. I have lost that title at RCW, unfortunately, but we're coming back this Sunday after about 18 months off, so I'm hoping to get that international title once again. The Inspire Pro Championship in Austin, I had to relinquish that title because of the COVID, but I don't want to be before it, so I'm hoping when we come back, I become the Inspire Pro champion again.
Yeah, and last time you won the championship, you had a pizza party, right?
That's right. When I won, I had a bunch of pizzas made. I didn't know if I was going to win or lose, but when I won, I said, okay, let's have the pizzas come out. So we brought out the pizza, and everybody got a pizza, and I also threw the championship belt in the air like a ring. I mean, like a pizza in the ring. But I didn't cook the belt in the oven. That's an important distinction to make. I only cook a pizza and a pizza ingredient. You will never find a piece of a metal or a screws or a live ammunition on my pizza. That's the problem.
Yeah. And you said no nail. And you said gluten's not real, right?
That's right. Gluten's not a real. And if people say, do you have a gluten-free pizza? And you go to a restaurant, and I say, yes, because it's not a real. And they say, what about a celiac? And I say, well, what about having a face? Yeah,
right. And, and if you had some run-ins with, a couple of bad customers, right?
Well, yes, of course, it's a part of the experience. What do you mean specifically?
I remember I was watching like a little vignette, and what was his name? Donnie the Bull. He had brought somebody over, right?
Yeah, that was like 70 years ago. That was when I had these legitimate businessmen who would come and make sure that everything was smooth in my restaurant. So I'd have to give them a little bit of my profit every day, and I'd give them a pizza just to make sure that if there's any trouble, they'd take care of it. But eventually they started causing a problem, so I don't work with the Don the Bull or the Vincenzo family anymore. But I'm hoping to working with any other families who might have that opportunity. But, yes, usually if there's people in my restaurant who order things like a hot tea, or a weird pizza with like a chimichurri on it or something like that, I have physically attacked them. That still hasn't changed.
Well, that's good. Glad to hear that hasn't changed. So you're from Italy. How do you end up wrestling in like Texas?
So I moved into Texas, I guess probably like 10 years ago, and I started to make a good pizza. And then from there, I got involved with the local wrestling scene. I met a wrestler named Jay Asirius, who at the time was a Jojo Bravo, and he had trained me in the pro wrestling style.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used my fighting styles from my youth, the martial arts, the wrestling, the judo I learned, and combine it with the pro wrestling and the pizza that I make in order to do a pro wrestling in the ring.
Yeah.
And so eventually it just was something I was trying, but it got to be something I enjoyed so much that I knew it had to be my main focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas before I was just, doing a wrestling and making a pizza, but I got it to a point where that was literally all I was doing. And that was actually my life. People say, well, you have a good gimmick or you have a good character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that it might be true, but yes, no, this is literally my life now. Like, it's all a pizza and a wrestling all day. There's nothing else.
Oh, wow. I mean, you're living the persona here. But it's pretty cool because it's paying off, because in 2021, this year, you became the acrobatic pizza spinning champion. That's quite the accomplishment.
Okay, well, I made it to the finals.
Uh-huh.
I made it to the finals of the acrobatic pizza spinning contest. I did not win.
Oh.
The winner was Juan Hermosillo from Mexico, who is a great pizza spinner, not as good of a wrestler as me, not at all, but an excellent pizza spinner. So I'm still tightening up that aspect of it, because I think I have the wrestling and I combine it with the pizza style pretty good. But there's so many different aspects of making a pizza, and throwing the pizza is something that I'm going to need to dial in order to become the best in the world.
Oh, I thought you won that.
I'm sorry?
I thought you won that, but you won in my heart, so I think that counts, right?
Thank you. It was a moral victory, I would say.
All right, that's pretty good. And
definitely got the biggest pop from the judges.
I'm sure you did. I mean, it's kind of amazing because I've been watching a video. You can twirl the pizza as you roll. It's kind of amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is one thing that I think I offer to the pizza spinning world, is doing a roll while I make a good pizza. There's a technique that I'm still working on, doing the full front flip while spinning the pizza, and that's still working on that, but it's close. It's almost there. So I'm hoping to have a video of that sometime in the near future.
Man, that's pretty cool. And some people can follow you on TikTok, right?
Yes, I just got a TikTok account. TikTok is a great place if you want to see teenagers streaming, or police attacking people, or a loud music that you don't understand. These are all great things you can see on a TikTok. And also now, I'm on there sometimes spinning a pizza, or maybe making a dough, doing some of the things that I do, just reposting on this other platform. In order to have a music and filters where I have cat eyes or whatever.
That's pretty awesome. Now, I'm from New Jersey. I go back and forth to New York all the time. New York has the best pizza. How do you think you pair off against somebody from New York, one of these great restaurants?
So I think New York has a pretty good pizza. I mean, I think there's all a different regional styles. Do you think that New York has a better pizza than in New Jersey? That would be my question.
You know what? It's almost like tied. There's some places in New Jersey that have like really awesome pizza. My town, not so much. But I gotta be honest with you. I mean, I've been to Florida and Maryland, and they have like the worst pizza on the planet. I wouldn't even call that. I mean, it looks like pizza, but it doesn't have the same consistency. It doesn't have like the same taste.
Yeah, Florida and Maryland are known for having a great pizza. Definitely not.
Have you tried New York pizza?
Oh yes, I've been to New York and New Jersey many times over the year, and yes, I think it's a very good. There's clearly something special with the pizza there. I think if you there's so much good consistency in those areas, and I think in a lot of places making a pizza is about taking cheapest possible ingredients and using it to return the biggest profit. So with that in mind, you have to really be a part of a good culture of a pizza in order to make a good pizza. Otherwise, you're just going to make whatever is in the area, and New York has a good tradition of that. But You know, I think there's even a good places here that take a care to make a good pizza, and for them, it's about the art of a pizza, such as, you know, I was saying Juan Hermosillo, he's in Mexico, he makes good pizza there because he cares that, you know, Brian Alvarez of the Pizza Trade magazines, he lives in like a Wisconsin or somewhere crazy, but he's a student of it, so he's able to replicate these delicious pizza styles, even though he doesn't have the access to the, the special in New York or water.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this.
I think a New Jersey and a pizza is a superlative, but I do think that there's people all over the U.S. who are students of the game, and they give everybody a run for their money.
Yeah. So you watch Barstool, right? That guy, he goes around, he tries pizza, one bite, everybody knows the rule. That guy, right? Dave something. You ever see him?
I don't know.
No, he's on YouTube, right? So he goes around to and he eats he orders like a full pie. He eats like one or two slices, and then he rates the pizzeria, and he's like from Boston, right? So and he's always like, oh, this place is like a 7.5, and that's like pretty good for him. Where do you think your pizza would rank if he would come over?
So I think that a Maya pizza probably would get probably a 10 or a 10.5.
Okay.
Because I make a best of pizza and I'm gonna make a best of pizza chef, so I think that it's probably a better than all other pizza.
All right, that's fair. That's a fair point. Let me ask you this, because I know there's some discrepancy here between some of my friends. I've seen people in other pizzerias do this. Here in New Jersey, we like to fold the pizza. Some people like to just keep it flat and eat it straight on. Or some people like to eat it backwards. Do you have a preference?
I think it's going to depend on what kind of a pizza. I think if you have your New York slice, it's a kind of a big, you want to fold it. But if you're talking about a Neapolitan style, that's a very crispy crust, if you're trying to fold it, it's just going to break in half.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you're just going to waste your pizza because it's going to be broken.
Now, some of the recipes that you have for your pizza, were these passed down through the generations, or did you just discover that you can make pizza probably better than everybody else?
Well, I think, most of my pizzas were handed down through the ancient scrolls of my family, and the recipes date back all the way to the ancient Romans, when before there was the priest of the shepherd and the farmer class who would wear corn around their necks as a symbol of their preeminence in the community. And that's how people knew that gluten wasn't real, because they made it the necklaces of the corn. And then when the corn fell out of fashion, that's when they got a good wheat. And then once we discovered how to mix the wheat and to make the good flour, that was the beginning of a pizza. And so from the Roman, there's been some different heretical pizza lines that have tried to creep their way in my family. Some kind of recipes that have summoned ancient demons, such as the agoid, who you said you must avoid the agoid in order to keep your pizza fresh. But I try and only read the recipes that are sacred and holy. I keep away from the forbidden and the accursed pizza scrolls that are in my family's ancestral library.
Wow. And you stay away from the red onions, right?
Yeah, red onions are generally on like a tear gas. When you bite into them, your eyes are shut from the pain. So, white onions are okay. If I'm going to use a red onions, I like it to maybe caramelize them a little bit, just to cook off some of the poisonous and mouth-numbing, vile flavor from them.
Yeah, when you just said when people bite into them, I was just thinking like they hold it like an apple for a second. I was like, I don't think they eat it like that. But yeah, if they eat it like that, it's pretty bad, right? So
not a fan of the uncooked onion. And if you're going to put them on a pizza, you need to cut them very slim. And you only need to put a few so that it kind of crisps up and it caramelizes, as I had said. And then it could be okay. But if you let an onion get it out of a hand, because they have so much water on them, they're going to punish you. They're going to punish your mouth and your eyes. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, you don't want that. And punishing people's face and eyes. I mean, you were in the ring with Gregory Iron. You mean you had a pizza death match? I mean, how crazy is that?
Yes, it was pretty wild. It was a pretty exciting a night for me. And now Greg and I have we have since become friends, but in that time we were a bitter enemies. And he disrespected me both by throwing a pineapple at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, by wrapping his hands in a tape and putting in the nacho cheese and then putting a pineapple on the nacho cheese and striking me in the face.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a pretty bad combination.
With the Tostino, the pizza.
Yeah, and that was crazy. I mean, what a crazy matchup that was. I mean, I know the fans were absolutely wild for that match. It was just nuts.
I think my favorite part for that match was I had knocked him off the stage we had, and then I gave him a elbow drop from the stage, and then I had topped him with the pizza toppings. I poured sauce on him, and a cheese, and a pepperoni, and so he was just laying in the ring, totally covered in a pizza topping.
That's crazy. That is pretty crazy.
And that is why. That's usually what I try to do in the ring. Is I try to take my opponent, and I try and as if I'm working a dough, as if I'm making a pizza. I do that to my opponent. So, for example, I pick them up and I spin them in a fireman's carry, and then I slam them, and then I add top of them, if you will, with the splashes and an elbow drop. And if they're not done yet, I'll get them in a trapezius claw to a knee to the dough. And then finally, once the match is over, I hit them with the pizza cutter, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you have a very amazing array of moves that you do. I mean, you spin people, like you just said. You get them kind of tipsy, and I mean, you've been hitting him with high octane right there. And I think it's pretty amazing because you wrestle with the singlet on and the apron over you, and that apron doesn't move.
Right. The apron just helps me keep from getting a food on it when I'm cooking, or getting a sweat or a blood when I'm in the ring.
Now,
but I've learned about it when you have to wrestle. So originally, what I would do is I would get somebody down, and I'd top them, and then I'd pick them up and throw them, and I would lose. So I've learned that you have to actually do the order of a pizza in order with the person. Like, you have to first throw them, then you put the toppings on. I have not yet figured a way to create an analog where I cook someone in the oven in the ring.
Oh, that
will be my next step.
That might not be too good to cook somebody in the oven, but definitely whatever you've been doing has been working, because you've been winning championships. You've been coming close to winning championships, and the fans, they love you. But I have to ask you this: there's a wrestler. His name is Nick Gage, and he always keeps a pizza cutter in his pocket. Have you thought about keeping one too?
So yes, I've seen a Nick Gage use as a pizza cutter, and it's truly terrifying.
Yeah.
I sometimes have a pizza cutter. I only bring it out for a very special occasion. Usually I prefer to use a dough in the ring, or maybe throw a crushed red pepper into my opponent's eyes, things like that. But when you bring out the pizza cutter, you will sort of escalate the violence. So you don't know if they're going to see that, and then they're going to bring out a whisk or something, and then you're going to have to bring out a rolling pin, and then they've got a kitchen aid, and all of a sudden you have all these kitchen appliances that you're throwing at each other. So it's something I'm very careful with. Plus, referees don't like it. Sometimes I can get away with the dough, but usually when I bring out a bladed weapon, the referees seem to get mad at me for some reason.
Yeah, you keep flour in there, right? And throw it in your opponent's eyes, like Mr. Fuji or something like that. Okay.
That'll help. Yeah, that's another great technique that you can use, where you take the skills from the kitchen, you take what you learned from making a pizza, such as a flour and the yeast and a cheese, and you just use it in the ring. And that's what I think I really bring to wrestling, is by taking my pizza making skills and by adding it to the ring, combining them into one sacrosanct art.
Yeah, and that's pretty amazing that you can use your culinary skills. Now, earlier in the interview, you alluded to that your life has just become pizza and wrestling, but I'm sure you still have some downtime and you like to watch some movies or listen to music. What do you like to do? Like TV shows, maybe?
Let's just see. I'm a big reader. I like to read a lot of sometimes a science fiction or a fantasy or a horror or sometimes a philosophy or a literature. Bigger reader, love to read. Or sometimes I like it to play, card games with my friends. It's another thing. If you're an Italian, you have a card games in your DNA, essentially.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And
yes, I just finished Teatro Grottesco by Thomas Magatti.
oh wow, so that's really awesome.
Phenomenal.
So yes, that's pretty awesome that you like to
I'm a good
read.
anti-natalist pizza.
Do you like to listen to modern music? Do you like to listen to like old music, like Frank Sinatra?
I do like a Frank Sinatra and a Mario Lanza. These are classic Italian and Italian-American singers. But working so long in a back-of-the house at a restaurant has really made it so I've now listened to a lot of... I'm pretty much inured and have a Stockholm Syndrome to listening to a metal and a grindcore and a gangster rap.
Oh.
I think anybody who's worked in a kitchen in America is going to at least have some passing knowledge of those genres.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, working in the kitchen, right? How is that, like, does that help your hand and eye coordination when you're training and stuff like that still? Because you're always moving.
Oh, yes, absolutely. When you're, cooking in the oven, maybe you have a 6 of pizzas rotating with your a pizza peel, which is the long spoon you use to adjust your pizza, and you're rotating them around, and you're moving them so they don't burn, so they get evenly cooked. So you have to keep doing that. You keep them moving. You have to pay attention to the customers. And if somebody is coming in and trying to steal something, you have to jump over the counter and hit them across the back with your pizza peel, waist lock of them, and suplex them out the door and get them out while not burning the pizza. So I would say yes, absolutely takes a lot of hand-to-eye coordination to make a good pizza.
That's pretty impressive. Now, let me ask you this. I mean, John Cena... He's had his spinner belt. He's had a couple of like variations of that. Have you thought about a belt that you could just turn into like dough or something like that? If you should ever customize it.
Oh, that's a pretty good idea. Usually I whenever I get a championship belt, I always throw it in the air like a pizza.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
But it's a pretty heavy. So maybe I could get one that kind of has the sides are a dough. Except for when I'm wearing it, it would kind of slowly droop down to the ground while the doughs are stretching.
Yeah, that'd be
maybe
cool.
if I'm only in the ring for like a 20 second, it can just stretch, and then I can pound it out into a pizza and make a good pizza with it later.
Yeah, and that's part of the persona. I have to ask you this because people put so many different toppings on. I'm a meatball guy. I'm also a plain pizza, sometimes pepperoni. What's your perfect topping? And I hope it's not nails.
No, it's not a nail. You say a plain. I'm a big plain guy. I like a plain. I like a cheese, different cheeses. Ricotta or a gorgonzola. But I think a plain gives you a good flavor for the. You can taste the crust, and you can taste the sauce and the cheese, and it all brings out the flavors in a really a pure way. And so that might be my favorite. Is just having a plain of cheese. But I also like a mushroom and, as I say, a ricotta.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, ricotta's always good, too. Who would win, right? Who wins in your book? Because there's Papa John's, there's Domino's, there's Pizza Hut, there's DiGiorno. I mean, do you like those kind of pizzas, or do you just like the homemade, fresh pizza?
Right, so you're talking about a Domino's and a Papa John's.
Yeah.
I think some people like those, and those pizzas are good if you like a pizza that's made with the trash and that it belongs in the garbage. If you like a pizza like that is basically a trash pizza, I say it's okay. But me personally, I don't like a pizza that has screws on it or pieces of aluminum foil. But that's just me personally.
Now,
everybody's different.
Let me ask you this, Luigi, because there's been some great Italian wrestlers that have come through the world of professional wrestling. There's Bruno, there's Santino Marella, right? I mean, who's some of your favorite Italian wrestlers, and how did you find wrestling?
Little Guido, I really like Little Guido.
Yeah,
he's an
amazing guy.
Legendary cardio. legendary, tough guy. And you get, of course, a Bruno, a good family man, a good wholesome wrestler, and a Santino. Love his attitude and his carefree spirit, while still having a very strong and a tough style. All those guys are great. He's an English guy, but I think his grandparents were Italian. This English wrestler, Marco Rollerball Rocco. He is, and William Regal has said that Rollerball Rocco and Marty Jones invented the Super Junior style in the late 70s. And Marco Rocco, he's one of my favorites. He's a great mustachioed wrestler. He's got an awesome mustache. He was about, 5'8", 5'9", insane cardio. Would have just destroyed people with his cardio and with his furious spirit, but also very wild and doing a sentons on people from the top rope in like in 1979.
Wow.
And just always a movie. So he's one of my favorite wrestlers of Italian descent. I'm trying to think of... Oh, Antonino Rocca, of course.
Oh, yeah.
A.K.A. Argentino Rocca. A lot of good cartwheels. His main thing was to a cartwheel.
Yeah. So when you were a kid, right, how did you become... Or did you grow up watching wrestling? Did you find it as an adult? I mean, how did your story come about that?
Yeah, I was starting to watch when I was just a little kid, and I think one of my uncles, we were playing around, and we were wrestling on the ground, and he pinned me, and he said a 1, 2, a 3, he's pinned. And this concept that blew my mind. And from then on, that was just the object of any time you were fighting someone on the ground, you wanted to pin them for a 3 count. So it totally changed my thinking. And of course, then, I got into the WWF of the 80s with the Hulk and Andre and Roddy Piper. And I think, I felt safe when a Hulk was there. And when I saw Roddy Piper do a promo, I was afraid, and I thought somebody needs to stop him. I did not like that he was around in the world. And so I was totally buying in to these performers. And it had a profound effect on me. But I did not discover it again later till I was a much older adult in my 20s. Of course, I did a martial arts and the grappling, and of course. But I didn't discover the pro wrestling until I was, again, in my 20s. And then I went back to the thing I loved about it as a child, as well as learning about some of the more modern style with, greater performers like, I say, Rocco and Owen Hart, who I look up to and emulate quite a lot of now.
Yeah, and that's kind of amazing because you've been able to, and that's why I like what you do, because you've been able to tap into something modern, but keep it old school in some way, because you're actually wrestling. You're not just doing high spots here and there, and like you said before, you're wearing down your opponents. It's like making a pizza, like you said before, and your matches make sense, and I kind of like that, like things that you do in the ring, and plus you have an over the top personality, but it works, and because you could be a villain and you can be a good guy to people. I feel like you could just do whatever you want, and I feel like you got the perfect niche between the old school 80s with the character kind of persona and the wrestling of nowadays. I think it's pretty awesome.
Dang, well, thank you very much. That's a huge compliment. That's what I want to do. I want to be known that as someone who can have a good match with anybody who's not just like, oh, we need to find a comedy match for him. Like he can work with, this person who's a cruiserweight, or he can work with this person who's a much bigger. I want to be able to have that, be able to have that a logical match, like you said, with anybody, and have it be enjoyable. And luckily in Texas, I have a lot of people who believe in a Luigi and who wanted me to succeed. So they push me to have these good matches, and they help me learn about it, what to do and what not to do, and like how to keep the old school style, well, like you were saying, and also be able to show everybody that I can hang with everybody doing doing what everybody's doing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my main priority is just in order to make as good a pizza in the ring and convey that and to show people that I can make a pizza and that I can just get it back up if you push me down, and that no one can ever extinguish the light in my eyes. Because I think there's people who are much more athletic than me and are much more bigger and stronger than me. But when it comes to my spirit and the fire that is like in my eyes in the moment, like nobody can see there, not a single person.
Sure.
When I'm in that moment.
Yeah, and you could see it, right? You win the championship. It's on your face. The emotion's on your face. I mean, it look like you're holding like a child. I mean, you have blood trickling down. But you're holding this title, and you can see your passion for wrestling. You can see, this glimmer, right? But what's the goal? What's the goal here? Do you want to go to AEW? Do you want to go to WWE? What's the end game for you? Because you don't have to. Wrestlers nowadays, some of them are doing pretty well. Like, you have your own shirts. You have stuff for sale. What's the end game?
Yeah, I think any opportunity that I could get like that would be something that I would definitely welcome. Right now, I have my day job, so I still do that. I want to have a job and keep working a job, and but I want to keep getting better at a wrestler. And so my goal before was to become the best pizza chef or wrestler, so that nobody could be so that they couldn't just in some mainstream of promotion, so they couldn't get some Olympian and just put an apron on him and make him, a fake Luigi. And now I think I've got enough of people who know about me, and I'm in this video game. So I think now my place as the main pizza chef or wrestler has been secured. At least I hope. That was initially my goal. And so now I'm having to figure out a newer goal, and I think that's just going to be to, like I said, be able to show everybody that I can put on a match with anybody, so that I can just be booked however much I want, and be able to, just to use it to be something that's good for my family and my community, because I have a lot of good friends here in Austin, and we have our home federation called the Party World of Wrestling, and so I want to keep growing my community and I bring it back to them and I give it back to the people in Texas that have helped me. But I think just right now I just want to become a better wrestler and to be able to get a more bookings and to just be able to get good opportunities to go out of a state and to meet more people and just to make a pizza all over the world.
Yeah, that'd be truly amazing, and I hope that really comes true for you, because I think you got the skills to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's not that's why I look for these. I look for all the time for new wrestlers, because you got to keep the podcast fresh. But I look for people sometimes self-serving. I'm like, I think this guy has something to offer, because like you said, earlier, like you got the character. You had the intensity. I think of like somebody like Santino, right? He might have been like a joke in the WWE, but there's moments where like he is seriously like being serious. Like I think of like the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, where he was like inches away of winning, and the fans are just reacting to him like this could really happen for like a split second, right?
Now he has a wrestling school now, right?
Yeah, in Canada, and I just talked to one of his students, right, and she. And she's awesome. She's an awesome performer, and she's only been wrestling for just a couple of years. And her name is Amy Crimson. And it's so awesome, because when you do the podcast, you're connecting people from across the world, and I get to do research. And this is one of the coolest things, because I went back, I looked at some of your matches. You were in the ring with Exodus Prime, and of course Johnny Cruz. These are some great athletes you're in the ring with, and you stand out pretty well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the Exodus match was a very, very exciting. That was one of my. I think everything since February. When I came, because in a quarantine, I wrestled a little bit, but I mostly just to train. I mostly just ran back and forth in my yard like a dog every day, and just kept working and trying to get better. Because before quarantine, I think I was starting to get hurt, and some opportunities were starting to come up pretty fast, but my neck was starting to hurt, and I was hitting my head. I wasn't good enough yet. I still didn't know how to protect myself in a certain situation. So I think having the year off to tighten up my cardio, and also I get better at protecting myself in the ring, learning how to take the moves, to do the moves and take the moves properly has really helped. So now all the matches that you see me do from a February of 2021 on, I feel like I'm a different person. I'm just a different wrestler because I had all that time to develop and to think about what I was doing and my goals, and a year to train.
Oh, wow. So we're going to see a new version of you, a crisper version of you, like a well-done version pie.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Like a well-done pie. And so this is a two-part question, and I think we can end here. So let me ask you this. Dream opponents, a legend from the past that you would love to get in the ring with, and who would you like to face now, anybody now, currently, who's wrestling?
Dream opponent in the past, I guess it's still potentially he would have wrestled now, but probably very rarely. William Regal, definitely. That would be awesome. Now I would have liked to. I think I would have finally liked to have faced Danhausen in a good technical wrestling match.
Well, I mean, he's very nice. He's very evil.
Yeah, I think we can have a very friendly match where I'm not going to throw a red pepper in his face, or hit him with a dough, or take out of my pizza cutter. We'll just do a nice technical wrestling match.
All right, that's fair. When you said William Regal, I was kind of surprised you didn't say Virgil, because he's my favorite wrestler. He's the greatest wrestler of all time, and I thought you were going to say him. So
that would be a wow. That would be. I feel like maybe we could figure out how to make that happen with like Gregory Iron and a Virgil versus like a me and I don't know, a Ted DiBiase Jr.
It would have to take place in like an Olive Garden. Right? Yeah. Olive Garden deathmatch.
Good idea.
But yeah. Oh man, I'm always surprised when people don't pick him, and I'm like, come on, guys, he's the greatest.
Yeah, let's see. If, like I say, Greg Iron knows him, so let's get in touch with him and see if we can make this happen.
Yeah, he's like my dad. So, Luigi Primo, one of the up and coming stars here in the indie scene, and I hope to see you come out here to Jersey and New York, and I hope maybe one day I get to come down there to Texas, hopefully soon, because I'd love to see you wrestle in person. And for us, where can people get you on social media if they want to connect? They want to see where you're going to be soon. Keep up with you.
So I'm on Twitter at Best Pizza Chef. On a Facebook, just the Luigi Primo on a Facebook, and Instagram is Luigi Primo PWR.
Oh, awesome, man. And thank you so much for taking out the time and talking with us here at Wrestling IQ 101. Truly appreciate that. And,
yes, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we got to share some good laughs. I hope everyone here enjoyed it. And for us, this has been Wrestling IQ 101. You can follow us on social media using the @sign. That's at Wrestling IQ 101. That's across all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can listen to us right here on YouTube. You can hit that subscribe button. You can check out the past episodes. You can check out current episodes like this one and even future ones. And we'll see everybody real soon.